of the Eastern Conference. Known mostly for the acrobatics of Dominique Wilkins, Atlanta has assembled a talented squad worthy of membership among the NBA elite. And today, the Hawks hope to prove they are a team whose time has come. The remaining hurdle facing Atlanta are the proud bearers of Boston Celtic green. They have ruled the East for 3 years, but today must defend their turf against a Hawk team that has shown little respect for the defending champions this season. The challenge has been issued, and it is the Celtics who have to respond. The best record in the East is at stake today in Boston, where the Celtics sometimes win in their sleep, but where Atlanta is hoping to place a wake-up call. Leading scorer Kevin Willis, their top rebounder. Bird now again is the leading scorer for the Celtics, and Robert Parrish, their top man off the boards. This is the season series story, and the home team has won all 5 games. Boston had the one blowout earlier this year, but it all comes down to this game for the home court advantage. The winner will go against the Chicago Bulls in the first round, and the loser will play the Indiana Pacers in the best-of-5 first round of the NBA playoffs. Wilkins and Bird right there, and a man I know that everyone is beginning to respect a lot more, Kevin Willis.
You got that right. He's been a dominant factor in this ball club.
Darryl Garrettson and Bernie Fryer are the officials. The Hawks and Reds, Celtics and White, we're underway. Game 82 of the regular year. Doc Rivers.
Well, Atlanta really wants to fast-pace this game, push it up and down the court, and run the legs of the Celtics out from underneath them.
What about their half-court game?
Half-court game is a lot inside to Kevin Willis and Dominique Wilkins. Prime targets.
Willis was double-teamed. Whitman left open. He misses a three-point shot. McHale the rebound.
And here comes Boston, and they'll just waltz it up the floor, trying to take the rhythm out of the head of the Hawks so that it doesn't get into a racehorse basketball.
And they, too, want to establish inside. Parrish, turnaround in the lane. Rebound by Willis. Parrish has had his best year, but he's been under par against the Hawks. And hitting the first shot is Dominique Wilkins, who's averaged 35 against Boston.
Wilkins coming out early on the fast break. He's the key guy that makes that attack potent.
Willis against McHale. It's going to be a tough assignment for Mr. Willis, especially if McHale gets the ball down that low.
And look how quickly they find Dominique, Dick.
Basket counts and a foul. They know who to look for. And we can tell you that later on, you'll see Wilkins in the backcourt.
Here's Atlanta's real problem. Kevin McHale, look at the good position he gets on Willis. An easy turn-in hook shot. The fight goes on underneath the basket.
Foul was on Kevin McHale. And Dominique Wilkins averaging just over 29 points a game. And as we said, you'll see him at big guard when they bring in Antoine Carr. And that's been a combination that has been poisoned for opposition teams the last couple of weeks.
The new weapon that's really been unfurled.
Good play by Whitman. Knocked the ball away on the pass to Ainge. Dennis Johnson is guarding Rivers. The other matchups. McHale is on Willis. Normally in the past, McHale has been on Wilkins. And the ball drops for him.
Casey Jones would much rather have Kevin McHale guarding Dominique Wilkins than Larry Bird.
Because Bird likes to slough off and play team defense, as he calls it. Wilkins is on Bird. And here comes Rivers out of the pack. Dominique. And open is Willis. Bird clear.
They are pushing it very hard at the Boston defense. They're trying to control the pace early, the Hawks.
And we'll have a pushing foul on Tree Rollins as he fouls Robert Parrish. That's the first foul of the game. We've completed a little more than 2 minutes of this game, and the Hawks lead it 7-2.
Celtics in the past have gone against Dominique Wilkins, but they're starting out going inside and effectively.
McHale gets the basket and foul, and he was surrounded by Hawks there. Unstoppable, really, inside, Tommy.
Until about a month ago, when he started to sustain these injuries, he had all kinds of good moves like this. Here's a little fall away. That's a little something different that Willis will have to look at.
Foul was on Doc Rivers, and a three-point play for McHale. who was out 2 games with a sore right foot, but he came back with a 42-minute, 22-point effort against Chicago Friday night.
Boston up there pressing in the backcourt to try and make the Hawks really slow it down, take it out of the hands of Rivers.
Rivers, tough to penetrate, and Rollins stuffs it through. That's a concern of Casey Jones.
Absolutely it is, and Rivers, if you let him go, will penetrate real strong. He's a big body guard, and he'll make you pay with good inside passing.
They double Parrish. This is what the Celtics do so well. They swing it around, and Johnson was open. Couldn't convert the shot, and here come the Hawks with a 9-5 lead. Dominique misses, but there's Kevin Willis with the basket and the foul, and there's the offensive rebounding that the Hawks do so well.
Well, Kevin Willis is the key to that, because as a 4th man up, he's probably the fastest power forward in the league next to Ralph Sampson. And they have a 4-on-3 situation right here with Willis in great offensive rebound position just for the fact that he could run faster than Kevin McHale or Robert Parrish.
Meanwhile, Tom, Kevin McHale has picked up his 2nd foul early here, and with just about 3 minutes gone by, it's now 12-5 Atlanta. In the games in Boston this year, the Celtics have opened up big leads in the first period against the Hawks. But right now, Casey Jones has some problems to work out.
There's Larry Bird, and what the real pressure is on Boston today is one of the big Celtic players, a Bird, a Parrish, or a McHale, has to get up and really defend against the fast break. Here you see Bird really busting his tail to get back. They do get 4 people back into the action, and yet the speed produces this kind of shot, not a layup, and therefore the Celtics are in good position for the rebound. They're also doing this, trying to stagger them, confuse Rivers a little bit so he can't push the ball up, make somebody else become a playmaker, and a center or a forward is not the guy you want to do that.
He's only 5'7", but he's been a big coach. He's the coach of the year, of course, last year in his 4th season. He won 50 games last year, and his worry, he said, was to beware of scoring runs that the Celtics are known for, especially Bird and Ainge in the long range. But he's got the fast break going pretty well, and the Celtics haven't had any opportunity.
See a lot more running by the Hawks because they have got that mentality now. Run at all costs.
Danny Ainge. Basket scored and a foul. Well, Danny Ainge has really produced in a big way this year, and with Dennis Johnson ailing with a sore shoulder all year long, he really becomes the key shooting guard now.
He's become so effective as a 3-point player that he's effectively helped to open up the inside game for the likes of McHale and Parrish and Bird.
Whitman committed the foul. 12-8 Atlanta. 8:45 remaining opening period. Whitman, he's fine off the screen. That's his best play, the jumper off the screen. Missed there, and the Celtics trying to cut it to 2. In the McHale. Should make it clear here that foul trouble isn't as important with Atlanta as it is with other clubs because of the number of big men they have.
Here's a bad gamble by Willis, but look what happens. Tree Rollins there, shot blocker right there as he goes to the hoop, so they're trying to double team McHale if he turns to the hoop.
John Koncak in his 2nd year out of SMU, and Tree Rollins has picked up 2 fouls and goes to the bench. And again, foul trouble not all that important with the depth that Mike Fratello has, especially up front. But what does Koncak give him now coming in?
He gives him another wide body and 6 more personal fouls. And I think part of the strategy that's been going on in the NBA against the Celtics is put a torture test to the big guys. Wear them down physically, use the foul.
And also, Koncak is a better offensive threat than Rollins, who basically sets picks and blocks shots and gets boards. Role players galore on Atlanta. Here's Dominique Wilkins. That was way off the mark. Parrish and the Celtics looking to tie the game here. Atlanta gets back defensively. Dominique is all over Bird. No shot attempted yet by Larry Bird. Whitman on a mismatch on Parrish. Bird for 3.
Parrish made that play for Bird. He made Koncak get down there for the double.
That's the first Celtic lead of the ball game, and Boston has run off 8 in a row. This may be one of those scoring runs that Mike Fratello feared so much. 7:40 remaining. First period. Doc Rivers misses. Contact. Couldn't tip it in. And the Celtics looking for 10 points in a row now, at least. Bird to Parrish. And Atlanta will call timeout. Straight. Celtics have scored 10 straight points, and we asked Mike Fratello yesterday about what you must do to try to win at Boston Garden.
If you cannot get your team to all believe in the fact that when they come in, they really have a chance to win in this building, half the battle has been won for the Celtics. You have to think you can do it. Obviously, it takes the physical, the application of the things you're trying to do, getting them done. But a team has to have the mental toughness to come in here, overcome the spurts that the Celtics have during the course of the game, overcome the crowd that gets involved with it, block all that stuff out, and just zero in and do what they do best.
Mike Fratello, really, I think, has made a remarkable evolvement into a fast break coach. That was not his natural bent years ago, and he's really done a great job at turning the speed loose of these Atlanta Hawks.
7:10 remaining in the first period. The Celtics lead 15-12, and an illegal defense called against the Celtics. Kevin McHale is pleading with Darryl Garretson, and it was against McHale. That's the first. It's a warning. The next time will be, of course, a technical foul. Casey Jones, whose theory of play today, worry about tomorrow, has brought him to this last game where he has to win today to get that home court.
Well, he's been through too many championship years not to start worrying about the playoffs before you get there. He wanted to win day by day, and he's done it.
Double team on Willis. He's got Rivers, but Rivers is trapped too. 5 on the shot clock. Wilkins, no shot, traveling call. Pretty good defense there.
Celtics have not of late been very aggressive defensively. They're far more aggressive in this first quarter than I've seen them in quite a while.
How do they normally win, Boston, really, in the ultimate?
They pick their spots to play defense, usually in the third and fourth quarter, to get aggressive so they don't get in foul trouble quickly.
And they're going to call Robert Parrish with an offensive foul, number 1 against Parrish. Rollins and McHale each have 2, by the way, and we have 6.5 to play. And Atlanta with a chance to again bring an end to the Celtic 10-point streak they've got going. Wide open Whitman in the corner. Parrish clears it. Whitman's really their best jump shooter, of course, other than Dominique. Ainge comes back. Concat. And Rivers. Rivers is not as good a push man on the fast break as a Spud Webb, who we'll see.
He really has to fight a mental battle all the time to push that ball apart.
Willis missed the shot, and another rebound for Parrish. That's 4. Bird. Bird has 3 points. Ainge, fall away. McHale on the other side, blocked by Kevin Willis. McHale doesn't usually come across a guy like Willis in his travels around the league.
Willis, such a quick leaper there.
Offensive foul against the Hawks. Doc Rivers and Mike Fratello enraged at that Bernie Fryer call, and it'll be the second foul on Rivers. And Tommy, that will necessitate Spud Webb coming in.
You think that's an advantage? Watch Willis's block. I mean, that's a quick leap. Kevin doesn't really face that kind of quick leaper an awful lot.
Spud Webb, who missed 44 games with knee surgery, has been back for 16 and is about 75% to what he was. Webb played in only 1 game against the Celtics this year. Dennis Johnson hits, and it's 12 in a row for Boston.
That's a big shot because he was going to be the prove-it-to-me player with that sore shoulder.
Wilkins throws up an air ball on a baseline drive, and the Celtics are on a big roll here. Well, that's the first message of the game.
They don't run often, but when they do, it's usually effective.
14 in a row, and the crowd on its feet. And a foul A foul is called against the Celtics. Look at this pass.
We're going to see Dennis Johnson. Bird way on the top of your screen is outdistancing everybody. And look at that laydown pass. He had everybody confused. That's knowing what you're doing before the play happens. Look at this. He knows that he's going to be attacked by Willis. He takes Willis out of the play, and that leaves Parrish wide open.
On the other end, Larry Bird commits his first foul. Celtics with 3 team fouls, Atlanta 4. Mike McGee, the long-range shooter and the former Laker, is coming the ball game now. So a new set of guards for the Hawks. Webb throws it away, but it's saved by Wilkins. Contact from McGee, and that breaks a 14-0 string by the Celtics, and it's now 19-14 in favor of Boston.
You know, a couple of years ago, Mike McGee would have taken that outside shot rather than give it to John Concac. He's into the team spirit here in Atlanta for the Hawks.
Ames. McHale. McGee fights his way in to get the rebound with 4 minutes to go in the first period.
And here comes the accelerator, Spud Webb.
When everyone gets a little weary, in comes Spud Webb to turn it up a notch. Wilkins. And Dominique Wilkins now with 7 points to lead the Hawks. And all but one of their points coming from their starting front court. And we'll have an Atlanta foul, and that will be their 5th, so it's penalty time here in the first period. And that foul will be against Mike McGee.
You know, Boston right now is showing more zip in pushing the ball up the court than the last few weeks, too. And that's not a bad sign for the Celtics side of the ledger, because they can come up with some easy baskets, and if not, still use their inside game of Parrish and McHale if there's no layup in sight.
Larry Bird trying to become the first NBA player to win back-to-back free throw titles in the last 7 years. Rick Barry had won it 3 in a row in the late 70s.
Bird's become the catalyst once again. He's become the #1 go-to guy on the team since McHale suffered those injuries and was out for 6 games.
He had lost his scoring leadership on the club to McHale, but he's regained it now. Wilkins gets the basket, so it looks like they're leaving Wilkins open to drive in, and he's taking advantage of it to the tune of 9 points.
Well, if Bird guards Dominique Wilkins, what happens is Bird is such a team defender that Wilkins is going to be turned loose.
21-18 Boston, 3:10 to go in the first. Parrish. It's been a frontline scoring game on both sides so far.
It's finding the open man after the man with the ball gets doubled. That's what's happening right now. Both teams responding nicely to it.
Under 3 minutes now. Wilkins off the glass. McHale. Ainge overruns the ball. McHale blocked by Concac, and they'll call the foul on Concac.
Here's a beautiful pick-and-roll play coming up. Bird and Parrish. Nobody does it better than Bird. Look at both men jump out at him, and immediately he knows that Parrish is free, and the weak side of the Atlanta defense not quite quick enough to anticipate and take it away from Parrish.
They had to separate Kevin McHale and Mike McGee. They got awfully close, too close for comfort there, and both benches stood up. Have they ejected Mike McGee? Or have they called a technical on him? A technical foul on a punching foul called against Mike McGee, and he's leaving the court.
That's the loss of an awfully big weapon for Atlanta right now, because he really gives them some mad dog defense and some sensational outside shooting that Spud Webb counts on when he's in that sledgehammer unit.
So now Whitman becomes the only outside shooting guard they can count on as McHale misses the free throw. So a punching foul, a technical, is automatic ejection, and McGee is out of the game. A tough blow for the Hawks, who trail by 5, and McHale makes it 6.
We're going to see, Dick, if the emotion of this ball game is going to be able to carry those tired legs of the Celtics through to the 4th quarter. They're playing on pure emotion right now, a very upbeat game. And in some of the games they've played against tempo teams, they've given it away in the 4th quarter.
1 out of 3 for McHale.
Number 12,
The 2 shots and the technical. Jerry Seasting has come into the ball game now in the backcourt for Boston. He can fill in at either guard position, and of course they'd like him to hit the open jumper when it's there. He'll be guarded by Webb. McHale way outside, working against Willis. And an Atlanta foul against Randy Whitman. And for Whitman, that will be his second personal.
That's pretty good defense again by Willis. He worked Kevin McHale way out to receive the ball, and that allowed Whitman to try and get down there on the double. Fortunately for the Hawks, Whitman committed a foul.
Well, here's a key man coming into the ball game for the Atlanta Hawks. Willis says he's all right, and he got hit, and that's Antoine Carr. Antoine Carr, who has been red hot as of late, has emerged as the second scoring option along with Wilkins.
I think this man is a potential player to put the Hawks right over the top. He is a true skill player on offense, knows the game and can pass, something big guys normally don't do, and he can also hit the outside shot and low post it.
So Wilkins will be in the backcourt now. Koncak is up front along with Kevin Willis and Wilkins. And Dominique gets the basket inside, so he can roam anywhere.
And Dominique now is in the backcourt, so Dennis Johnson will have the real trouble of trying to guard a super leaper in a low post. A tough assignment.
2 minutes to go in the first period. 26-20 in favor of the Celtics. Dennis Johnson. Koncak the rebound, and here's the running game. Webb. Willis. Forget it.
Does Willis get out on that wing? You bet he does. He zips.
That's the intimidating factor of Atlanta when they get the break and they jam it through with one of those big 7-footers.
And they love to run with Spud Webb.
So the Celtics have quieted down a little bit. Dennis Johnson with a good feed and a good basket. 28-22. Less than a minute and a half to go. First period. Wilkins with 11 leads the Hawks. McHale with 10. High score for the Celtics. Here's Dominique. Basket. No. Traveling called against Dominique Wilkins.
You know what's amazing to me right now, Dick? The Hawks, they're bigger, and yet they're still pretty fast. And they'll be able to stay up with Spud Webb.
Bird with a fake on Carr. Bird has 7 now, and the Celtics open up an 8-point lead, matching their biggest first period lead.
Larry Bird is displaying what he's been doing for about the last 3 weeks, carrying his team on his shoulders practically with his good offense.
Carr now doubled with Seasting and Bird, and a block by Larry Bird. Celtics played Carr perfectly. They've been looking at the tapes, I think.
Carr took too long to get the shot off.
And a Hawks foul inside. Kevin Willis, number 1.
Here's Bird on the inside now, and nice laydown on the double to Dennis Johnson, but Koncak was right there. What a shot by Dennis Johnson over Koncak. Here you're going to see Bird doing his thing. You can low post Bird. He gets some help from Seasting. Carr much too late in trying to get the shot off. It allowed Parrish to get there for the help.
And McHale misses his 3rd free throw of the ball game. He has 10 points and normally 84% from the line. So this is an aberration for Kevin.
He's just about getting his timing back. It's only his 2nd game back after 6 misses.
Celtics get the ball back. Bird, good position to Parrish. McHale, blocked by Carr. McHale again. You know, Tommy, the Hawks are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league, but in the 2 games at the Garden this year between the 2 clubs, the Celtics have had the offensive rebounding edge.
I think that's where the emotion is showing also for the Celtics. They're getting to the offensive glass.
9 seconds to go in the period. 7 on the clock as Seasting wastes a foul. And now it forces the Hawks to inbound with 7 seconds to go. Fratello who says he likes to have Webb on the team because they can exchange clothes when they're on the road. About the same size at 5'7".
When I stand next to Spud, I think I'm talking to my grandson. And he's only 2 years old.
Final seconds. Webb drives in and gets the basket. But your grandson can't make moves like that. Dennis Johnson, time running out. And that'll do it for the first period. The Celtics ran off 14 in a row, withstood a threat, and lead by 8 after 1. A 5 series. Well, as we start the second period, Bill Walton, who has played in 9 games this year after playing in 80 a year ago. Very important. Walton's coming back to the Celtics.
He's the X factor for the Celtics. They don't know quite what he is. It's like an algebra. You got to work through the equation to get to the answer. He needs some work.
Steal by Dominique. Bird is back. Can't stop that. No way.
In the open court, he's like Dr. J in his heyday.
Each team shot just under 50% in the first period, but the Celtics had the rebounding at 15 to 10. Contact on Bird's miss, and now the Hawks try to cut it to 4. Wilkins.
This is the sledgehammer unit in there for the Hawks.
Cliff Livingston has come in place of Willis, so now you're really getting a look at the Hawks' depth. McHale inside and was pushed by Cliff Livingston.
Speed in action coming up. You're going to see Dominique Wilkins now just take off. Bird's trying to stay with him, and he's really busting it up there, and Wilkins with a cute move gets right by Larry.
Darren Day, who's good on the running game and has played solid defense, is in for the Celtics. McHale misses, and Walton converts for the basket.
That is a confidence builder for Walton.
Leading scorers, to no one's surprise, really. Webb has been in there a lot. Keep in mind, Mike McGee was tossed out on a technical and a punching foul. Acrobatic move and a tip-in by Koncak, I believe.
Boy, and did he just nudge Larry Bird out of position. Bird was blocking him out. That's how good a wide body Koncak's developed into.
You make a good point, though. What the Hawks have in there with all the depth and the big men wear down the Celtics later on. That's what's to be seen.
This is the sledgehammer unit, Dick, that they keep pounding you till you lay down and say, I quit.
Seasting. Off the mark, Koncak, the rebound. 6 rebounds for Koncak.
And Seasting really trying to keep the ball out of the hands of Spud Webb because he knows that's the catalyst for this unit.
Under 10 minutes to go in the second period, 34-28. Great spin move by Antoine Carr.
Dello says he might be the best low post player we got.
He's a skilled player. He says, you know, skilled players in football? Well, that's what Antoine Carr is in this game. Bird double. Finds McHale.
What a pass that time by Larry Bird to find McHale.
Webb coming right back is fouled by Seasting, and that's all Jerry could do against the fleet Spud Webb. And for Seasting, it's his second foul.
Here's Bird. He can't see daylight. He's looking. He finds it now, and he looks off everybody because he knew McHale was wide open. And what a move by McHale at the tail end of it.
And Larry Bird already has 6 assists in this game. Why the teams won it. Now, the Celtics' 38-2 record includes 1 loss in Hartford. They only lost 1 game, that to the Lakers at Boston Garden. On the road, this is why the Celtics want to avoid playing the first 2 games of a series on the road. They've won 1 and lost 11 against the Big 4 in the East.
They have not done well on the road, Dick, and I think that's one of the functions of no depth. You know, when you go on a road, you count on emotion, and you're playing against Casey Jones using 5 guys emotionally to play against 8 or 9 and a hepped-up crowd to boot.
John Battle, who has played very well against the Celtics this year, has come in the game in the backcourt to team with Spud Webb. 6-point Boston lead. Livingston wide open, top of the key. Ainge, who's in there now in the backcourt. And he's teamed with Darren Day, so a big lineup for the Celtics as they have Walton and Parrish in there at the same time. Walton. Contact with another rebound. And a jump shot by Antoine Carr, who was drafted by Detroit, went to Italy, and had all sorts of injury problems the last couple of years, including this year.
Interesting answer to the speed unit of the Hawks by Casey Jones. I'm going to try and beat you with my Twin Towers.
Bird with a jumper. Larry Bird has 9. McHale, the top man for Boston, with 14. And Dominique Wilkins, 13, leading the Hawks. Celtics maintain that 6-point lead. Concat goes up with it. And Walton gets the rebound. I'm going to ask you about Walton and about how far back he is and how far back he has to come for the Celtics.
I think Walton really doesn't know himself. Nobody knows how quickly he gets back. He's only been back for a couple of ball games. They need probably about 10 to 15 good minutes out of Walton in this ball game, and probably through the entire playoffs if they're going to do anything.
Dennis Johnson came back in, and Robert Parrish drew the foul. And it was John Battle who commits the foul. So here's Robert Parrish, who Casey Jones says is like the invisible man Claude Rains. He never somehow has gotten the credit he deserves, but he's had his best year of his 11-year career and, of course, leads the team in rebounding.
He's the guy that needed most R&R, rest and relaxation, and I think what it really has done for him is put a little zip in his step. He's been back for several ball games, and while McHale is out, he's further sharpened his inside game.
Battle goes out, and Dominique Wilkins is back, and so he'll be in the backcourt now, along with Spud Webb. Big team, and they may even get bigger. Willis coming in soon. The Celtics are 9 of 15 from the line and leading by 6. Normally, they're much better free throw shooters. Webb has seen a lot of action here in the first half. Way off the mark. Parrish clear.
But again, the low post. Dominic Wilkins being guarded by Dennis Johnson. That's a real weapon that hasn't been used by the Hawks an awful lot that they plan on using today.
Bird for 3. Larry Bird with his second three-point shot, and that's 90 on the year. And bodies hit the floor at the other end as Spud Webb penetrated all the way, and with the acceleration, Boston foul on Bird.
Here is a great play by Bird. A shot goes through, and all of a sudden it's at you as quickly as possible. Here's the foul by Bird, but he turns himself loose, Spud Webb. Mike Fratello says he's only about 75% too.
2 fouls on Larry Bird. 7:25 remaining in the first half, but the Celtics lead by 9. Their biggest lead was 10 just before the end of the first period. Hawks missing inside. Johnson back. Bird tries to save it, and he does. Bird may not be at his scoring best right now, but he has it his all-round playing best right now.
Up on the glass. I will tell you, he finds a way. He's not fast, but he steps in and knows he has to hit it off somebody while he's up in the air, and he can't jump too high either. That's a quick decision.
22nd timeout was called by Atlanta. We have mentioned so many times, of course, that the Celtics have gone with a 5-man Iron Man unit. The Celtics starters have played the most. The only team to have their starters play at least 70% of the time. But I'll tell you one thing, you won't find a better group of starters in the NBA, or maybe in recent years, than the Boston Celtics. And this is why they have established season's best in all of these categories.
This unit here is playing probably the best basketball of 5 guys that I've ever seen a Celtics team play. It's been the bench that really hasn't given them the emotional uplift and the inside play.
They're going to have a foul away, and it's going to be called against the Hawks. They were pushing Walton out as Cliff Livingston comes in. Antoine Carr picks up his first. So Livingston is in, and Carr goes out of the ball game. So Koncak is the center, Willis the power forward. Livingston is also in there with Wilkins and Webb the guards. Bird. Walton scrapping for the loose ball. Hawks get it, but Walton is really frisky. fighting inside as if this were a big playoff game. And a foul is called against the Hawks. Livingston, as Randy Whitman comes back in a physical ball game in Boston. Sports. 6 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the first half. Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn. The battle is for the top seed in the Eastern Conference and home court advantage in Eastern Conference play.
Back to the normal unit, the Hawks. The sledgehammer unit back on the bench.
Whitman has come back in. Parrish over Koncak short, and Koncak gets the rebound, and he leads them with 9. Wilkins double team. And he's fouled. That will be the third team foul against the Celtics, and it's against Dennis Johnson. Kevin McHale on the bench and leads Boston with 14.
Dominique, when he gets the ball up in the corner in the open court, he causes problems like that. He's become a real heady basketball player. He's added some substance to all that flash he used to have.
Mike Fratello said he's the best passing forward on the team.
Here's a tough job for Bird to try and defend against Dominique one-on-one.
Whitman. Wilkins will go to the line. That's the 4th team foul. The Hawks are claiming it should be goaltending, that the Celtics knocked the ball off the top of the rim. But they're not going to get that. And Dominique will go to the free throw line. Kevin McHale has come back in for the Celtics. They're going to credit the basket now to Wilkins, and he'll go to the line after the foul. Kevin McHale is wearing the brace, of course, for the sore foot under his shoe. The foul was on Parrish, his second. So Wilkins will try to complete a three-point play here to bring the Hawks to within 6 as Walton gets a hand going out, and Walton looked like a scrappy player in there.
Well, he gave him some scrappy minutes. He wasn't that effective, only got a couple of rebounds, but he needs a few games just to get his feet underneath him.
Played 9 minutes there. Wide open, Dennis Johnson. And as you pointed out, if there's letting Johnson take the jumpers, he's answering that. And Dennis has 6 right now. 8-point lead for the Celtics. Biggest lead was 10 late in the first. Wilkins from Rivers. Great spin move, 180 degrees that time.
If you take the penetration away from Doc Rivers, that leaves Wilkins wide open on the weak side, and he's taking advantage of it.
Bird comes back, misses, and Koncak in double figures in rebounds. Rivers. Willis loses it out of bounds, but he would have gotten an easy start.
They throwing fast break pace basketball at the Celtics right now. This lead of 6 points could be very deceiving because the tempo of the game is much at the level the way the Hawks would like to have it.
It's like a staggered start in a track meet. You got to see what happens when you get to that 4th period, right? Bird hits 2-point shot for Larry Bird, who now has matched McHale with the Celtics scoring lead with 14 points. 45-37, and the Hawks won the Central Division title for the first time in 7 years. Whitman off the screen, great pass into Koncak, but an offensive foul called against Atlanta, and it'll be against Koncak.
One of the ways to take a little offense away from Dominique Wilkins is get him picked off, and look what happens. Koncak has to step out on Bird, and much too late, and not even close to getting to a shooting hand.
4:25 to go in the first half. Each team with 14 fouls. Whitman is on Ainge. Wilkins comes out to meet Bird. Double team. Dennis Johnson going all the way in and will go to the line. If it had fallen, it would have counted.
Dennis Johnson that time was the prove-it-to-me player once again, but he hit enough shots, daring him to shoot, and you're going to see he's going to be wide open here for an instant. And then Willis says he hit that last outside shot. I better go get him. And Dennis says, I'm going by you, and creates the foul situation. 2
fouls on Willis. And the Hawks are over the limit. And here's Dennis Johnson, who, despite the fact he's had the sore right shoulder that has bothered his shooting, had his 2nd best year as a playmaker and tough as nails as a defensive performer.
Dick, this man has assumed the leadership of this ball club for various parts of the season when Bird was out with injuries. And he just would not let this team lose. Dennis Johnson, that's what type of tough competitor he is.
And the Celtics have their biggest lead, 47-37. They had led 32-22. We wind down to 4 minutes to go in the first half. Hawks' biggest lead was 7 early in the ball game when the fast break was really zipping around. Willis makes the jump hook. I thought it was going off the rim, and Kevin now has 9.
He's really made that shot work from this year, Kevin Willis.
Look at that. Atlanta shooting 50%, Boston 40, and the Celtics are controlling the game at this point. Double on McHale, forget it. Means nothing to Kevin.
Willis afraid of picking up that extra foul that time.
Again, a 10-point lead. They go into Willis. Again, that short jump hook.
And Kevin McHale really cheated to his shooting side, and it didn't disturb Willis whatsoever.
And basically what we've seen is that Kevin Willis is Atlanta Hawks' version of Kevin McHale, basically. Top of the key, DJ. 10 points for Johnson.
Looks like that shoulder has popped back in. His shot was flat. Had a flat trajectory when that shoulder was bothering him. Nice arc on that one.
Celtics again by 10, under 3 minutes to go in the first half. Wilkins. Parrish, the rebound. And the Celtics can establish their biggest lead, but Parrish throws the ball away. And a timeout called by the Hawks.
Here's Willis down in the low post, and he has developed his jump hook. Look at the good position right over the red box. Kevin McHale tries to get at his shooting hand. Didn't bother him.
Next Saturday and Sunday on CBS. That's the time remaining in the first half. The Celtics in front of the ball game, and the Hawks have won 9 in a row, and the Celtics have won 3 straight after losing 3. In trouble, and they tie it up. Wilkins is tied up.
Celtics did a very smart thing that time. They forced the ball out of the hands of Doc Rivers into Dominique's, and when Dominique is on the outside against a good defensive guard like Dennis Johnson, he might lose the ball on the dribble.
Wilkins will be jumping against Dennis Johnson. It'll be an upset if Dominique doesn't win this.
I'm betting on Dominique right now. What?
Tommy, we're going to retire our prediction.
Everybody up in the stands saying, how did that happen?
They love it. Ainge working against Whitman now. McHale and Koncak boxes out Parrish and gets another rebound with 2:10 remaining in the first half. The Hawks are down by 10 as Rivers gets another chance and is fouled. There are some fans who dare come into Boston Garden, the home of the green, wearing Atlanta red.
You know, they've been sold out for so long, I'm wondering how they got the tickets.
There are a couple of ways, you know. Parrish has picked up number 3, and Walton has to come back in. Parrish goes out having scored 6. But Tommy, what does this mean as far as Walton's comeback, to have to come back in the game this soon?
Well, they're going to really test him. He's either going to do it or he's going to break his foot again. That's what it's boiling down to, because they need to know if he's going to be able to help them. And Walton has told him he's ready, so Casey's responding and saying, you're ready, you think so? Go get him.
You're harsh. Well, that's the reality of it.
That's the reality of it.
Rivers makes the free throws, and there's the time, an 8-point lead. Atlanta had the lead early in the game, but Boston has controlled the pace. They had a 14-point spurt. Danny Ainge. Again, it's 10.
That play of the Boston Celtics is back from the 50s.
Whitman with a fake and a hoop for Randy Whitman, his first points of the game, and he's averaging nearly 13.
They push it hard at you, the Hawks, after a made basket. That's offensive pressure basketball at its best.
Walton on a pick and roll. Bird double. He'll find someone. 2 seconds on the clock. Dennis Johnson and Rivers, and a push-off foul against Atlanta. Rivers is incensed.
Here's the old-style Celtics play coming up that they ran back in the 50s when I was playing. A little double pick and wide open. Nobody made the switch for the adjustment.
50s when you played. You had a crew cut then. 3 fouls on Doc Rivers, so Spud Webb has to come in, and so this is double jeopardy for Mike Fratello because Mike McGee was ejected for punching late in the first period, and so now he's got to bring back Webb. And of course, Webb can play, but there's only a limit of time that you want Spud Webb to be in there.
Well, you may be able to take advantage of him defensively, although the Atlanta Hawks have long learned to cover for that potentiality. They'll go and they'll double him if you take him in the low post.
Kevin McHale with 18 points in the game, and he's played as well against Atlanta as he has against the rest of the league. And the Celtics by 10, coming close to a minute remaining in the half.
Celtics do not want the ball in Spud Webb's hands. They're trying to deny him the inbound pass.
Whitman missing the jumper, the rebound by Bird. Under a minute now. Dennis Johnson, basket good, and a foul. What a play.
What a move by Dennis Johnson. He saw an opening, got knocked off balance, but look at all those bodies underneath the basket going for the rebound. Even though the shot was made, they were still jamming in case he missed.
Webb on the personal foul. Dennis Johnson and the Celtics with their biggest lead of the game, 58-45, trying to send a message to the Hawks while they wrap up the home court advantage. Randy Whitman from the corner.
He is such a great spot jump shooter on for a fast break team. Penetrate and let him get out on the wing and he'll kill you.
He had ankle problems this year. He was out of action for a while. 35 seconds to go. Grabbing on the Hawks. Kevin Willis has picked up his third personal foul. We haven't seen Tree Rollins since he went out early with 2 fouls. And coming up at the half will be Pat O'Brien. And now Walton will go to the line. Antoine Carr back in as Willis goes out with 3. So what kind of configuration does Mike Fratello have now?
Well, he's forced to play Carr, and Carr will probably line up against Bill Walton in the low post. And I think Walton is such a big player. You know, he's 7 feet. That's an awfully difficult play to try and shoot over for Antoine Carr.
Celtics continue to struggle from the free throw line. They have missed 7 of 21.
I'm surprised he can see the rim right now. He hasn't played that much basketball. Everything wiggles with your eyesight if you're not in shape.
The lead is 11 for the Celtics, 58-47. The shot clock shows 15 and a 10-second differential. I guess the old bromide, if the Hawks can cut it to less than 10, they'll be satisfied. Turnaround by Dominique misses. Coming out of nowhere, Willis. Loose ball, contact. Foul. Go. They tie him up, jump ball. And I think Dennis Johnson was right in the middle of that.
That was one of the most sensational offensive rebounds. Not contacts, but Wilkins to keep it alive. He took the shot, hit the floor, and in one step, skied and still got a finger on the offensive rebound.
So they're going to jump, and we won't take any guesses anymore. I don't care who's jumping. Dennis Johnson beat Wilkins before, and he beats contact, the 7-footer here. Larry Bird with seconds running down. And the buzzer sounds, and a foul against Bird before the time ran out. Larry Bird picked up his 3rd personal foul before the buzzer sounded, and the Hawks are going to go to the line to shoot 2.
Spud Webb, he may be small, but he's so effective. You're trying to dribble the ball. You just can't dribble the ball past him because he is so low to the floor. It's an easy hand movement for him to steal it.
He makes them both. And that's the end of the first half. With the score, the Celtics 58 and the Hawks 49. Pat O'Brien will be back with the Prudential at the half from the Boston Garden after this message. Here at Boston Garden, the Celtics lead 58-49 at halftime, and at stake, of course, is the top seed in the Eastern Conference. The winner of this game will play Chicago in the first round, best of 5. The loser will go against Indiana, but the winner will have the home court edge throughout the eastern half of the playoffs, and that includes should these teams meet again. Both teams shot 48% and took the same number of shots. Celtics had a slight rebounding edge, and they were very effective, Tommy, in limiting the offensive rebounding of the Hawks, and Boston went to town on the free throw line.
I think that's because they got their inside game going more effectively.
Half-court game they played to perfection. Johnson, McHale, tied up by Tree Rollins, who only played a few minutes to start the game, 3 to be exact, and so it'll be McHale and Tree to jump. Leading scorers of the game are Wilkins and McHale, but off the boards, Kevin Willis has 3, and McHale has done a good job against him in that matchup.
John Koncak was a power on the boards for the Hawks with 11 rebounds in that first half.
It'll be Atlanta ball, so a violation on the jump gives the ball to the Atlanta Hawks, the top rebounders in the ball game. And as we said, the Celtics with a 25-21 edge. 9-point game. Rollins with a turnaround hook score. Normally not a scorer.
They do not look to him to shoot that often from the low post, but he can do it.
Bird guarded by Dominique Wilkins. Swing the ball. Whitman gets a hand on it. Dennis Johnson had a terrific second period. Bird feeding Parrish, blocked by Rollins, and the rebound by Rivers.
Great rotation by the Hawks.
Willis travels. Go ahead, Tom.
And look how quickly after they make a good play, it's up the other end, because guys like Willis and Dominique, normally the slow guys on any man's ball team, those forwards, were out in front.
But you were right about the rotation defensively inside. The Celtics haven't seen too much of that kind of rotation.
They're showing a different defense right now. They believe that Dennis Johnson has proved it to them, and they're leaving Danny Ainge open a little bit more.
Well, he just proved something. He gets the basket and draws the foul, and the foul is against Whitman, and Randy Whitman has 3.
Here's the good defensive rotation happening. Here comes Bird into the pack, and the next thing you know, Parrish looks like he's open, but there's Whitman right down where he's supposed to be, stripping Robert Parrish. That's everybody on the same page.
So no block for Rollins, but credit Whitman there. And it's a 10-point lead for the Celtics. They were up by as many as 13. Atlanta had the early lead, and the Celtics have controlled the tempo since then.
Back to this matchup of Kevin McHale taking Dominique Wilkins. Bird had him the first half, as saving McHale for the second half, because his long arms, they feel, will be able to take the first step away from Dominique. He can back that far off him.
Willis the rebound. Wilkins with 20 points, and now the Hawks can cut it to 6. Rivers playing with 3 fouls. So is Willis. They double Tree, and Rivers comes in for the layup, and now it's 61-55. Less than 2 minutes gone by in the third.
Just letting Rivers get the ball at the head of the key. Nobody's rotating to him, and he's heading right to the hoop.
Perimeter passing, Dennis Johnson, who, by the way, scored 9 points in the second period and was outstanding on both ends. Rivers looking to get inside, feeds Kevin Willis, and Willis now with 13 in the ball game, and the pace now seems to be going back to Atlanta's running style.
When Atlanta runs at you and keeps the pace up and hard pushes, that has a real disastrous effect a lot of times against the Celtics.
Ainge that time. Dominique scoops. Tree can't follow it. Willis rolls it away. The Celtics have a 4-on-2 break. Knocked away by Rollins, and he stopped the 4-on-2 half-court for it.
What a hustle play by Tree Rollins, the center, to break that up.
And a timeout early here in the...
Not been able to finish it off in the fourth quarter.
You know, the winner gets Chicago. Is that a good... I wonder if that's a good prize or a booby prize.
Listen, they played in the playoffs last year, and they've got their team together. I wouldn't want to be playing Chicago.
Larry Bird off the screen. 16 for Larry Bird. McHale with 18 leads the Celtics. Wilkins now with 20 for Atlanta. Mike McGee, the long-range shooting guard, was ejected in the first period for a punching foul. Willis forces his way in. That's sheer power. Excellent realization by Whitman that there was a mismatch. Danny Ainge ended up with Willis underneath. 67-59. The Celtic lead has swayed between 6 and 13 points most of this game. Bird gets the roll, and Larry Bird hits 2 in a row. Bird established his career high for field goal percentage and free throw percentage. And Dominique with a move.
Up quickly on the wing. Nobody there to take the attack angle away.
Nearly 4 minutes gone by here in this third period. Dennis Johnson hitting. Two-pointer for Dennis, who has 17. He's past the season's average. There's Dominique again. Offensive foul, and that'll be Wilkins' first foul of the game.
He is something else in the open court. Larry Bird thought he could dig that dribble away from him, and Wilkins just left him in the dust.
The turnover story, and Atlanta has committed 9 of them. Ainge, and they're going to count the basket. Goaltending, and Ainge gets to the hoop.
They are so reluctant to switch off Larry Bird or Robert Parrish that any kind of double pick frees Danny Ainge. That's twice it's happened in the ball game.
And again, Boston is up by 12, threatening their biggest lead of the ball game. Whitman lost the ball out of bounds. Switch, or Tree has got to drop to help out and stop that penetration. Neither one really there. Dennis Johnson in and out. Whitman the rebound. If there's any knock against the Hawks, is that maybe they're not mentally mature enough to handle this kind of level of basketball. And of course, that's not really a knock. The team has a lot of great athletic skills, but maybe in the half-court style, poise may be a big factor. So we'll watch that. Whitman misses. He'll retrieve it, though, at midcourt. Was that hustle by Doc Rivers? Bird had that rebound. 6:50 remaining in the third. 73-61. Antoine Carr will make his re-entrance soon. Bird knocks the ball away from Willis. Great play and a long pass to Parrish. A foul call as Rollins tried to swat it away, and the crowd enjoys Celtic basketball here. Thank you, Hilton Head. And here the score is 73-61, and 71, Tommy, of the Celtics' 73 points have come from their starters. So nothing new in that regard this afternoon. They will play the playoffs this game with their first 5 playing major minutes. Parrish hits the free throw. That was significant. But foul story, again, Atlanta has committed 21 to only 11 by the Celtics. You know, that's the other reason they've had trouble on the road. You know, sometimes you don't get the calls defensively, and they've got to be very cautious about the foul, so they're less aggressive on the road, the Celtics. 1 out of 2 for Parrish, and the Celtics have tied their biggest lead of the ball game. They're up by 13. Close to the halfway mark of this third stanza. Wilkins has the ball stripped away by Dennis Johnson. Bird guarded by Rivers. Ainge takes a 3. And the Hawks running the play down now by 16. Biggest lead of the ball game. Ainge has hit his last 5 shots and has 15 in the ball game. Rivers is short. And on the rebound, Dominique with 24 now. I still think this game is going to be in the 4th quarter, and here's a guy that could make it very important 4th quarter. Spud Webb, the accelerator, to try and take the legs away from the Celtics in that 4th quarter. And the ball thrown away as Johnson didn't work it with Parrish as well as the Celtics would have liked. Webb is coming into the game, but Tommy, keep in mind that the Hawks are limited with the fact that Mike McGee, who they may need down the stretch for his long-range shooting, he has hit around 86 3-point shots this year and was ejected earlier. Here's Dominique against DJ the guard in the low post. Great pass, knocked away, Boston ball. That was a good pass from Webb into the post. And a quick double team so that Dominique could not really go up strong against Dennis Johnson. Hawks and the Celtics have yet to commit a foul here in this third period. McHale hemmed in, has Ainge, who's hit 5. And Rollins surrounded.
And two Celtics around Tree really stopped the fast break.
Walked into Bird, who took the ball out of his hands. Dennis Johnson stayed in bounds. Parrish, what a move. And a foul.
When you lean on a big guy, Dick. Robert Parrish, you see Tree leaning on him, and when you lean on him, that allows him to make a quick move, and you lose your balance, and it's an easy 2.
Two great Celtic veterans with experience and savvy disrupting the Atlanta Hawks right here.
And real savvy defensive play. I mean, this takes years of experience. Bird right there and anticipating the rotation and also making that steal. Most players would have come over the top and created a foul. Now you're going to see DJ, what he does best, poke checking away dribblers, the ball away. And Dominique just found out that maybe I can't put the ball on the floor against the likes of a reinvigorated Dennis Johnson.
John Battle comes into the ball game for the Hawks. Rollins committed his 4th foul. And Parrish going for the 3-point play right here. Robert Parrish has 9 on the day. And the Celtics have opened it up to 80-63. All 5 Celtic starters are in double figures, and those are all the Celtic points other than a 2 by Walt. Webb out to Battle. John Battle, who scored 14.5 against the Celtics in their 5 games thus far. Now a trap defense by Atlanta. Brought him back earlier in the year in this court.
And that's what they do so effectively. They don't care if you score, but they're going to take you out of your normal thing you like to do. And that can affect the Celtics. Their inside game not so appropriate against this type of defense.
2 seconds on the clock, and Dennis Johnson burns him.
Yeah, but they had to take a bomb to beat the clock.
Webb penetrates. Livingston goes up, and he's fouled. Tell you what, Tommy, the Hawks are getting inside offensively, but they're not coming away with anything.
Nobody wants to play Spud Webb, particularly a Danny Ainge, who at 6'6", really has to bend his knees practically to kneel on the floor to try and stay with Spud Webb and contain him. That's how fast he is. You know, he almost dribbles the ball up faster up the court than you could pass the ball up the court.
Livingston misses the free throw. Misses both of them, and McHale the rebound. 17-point lead for the Celtics.
This is a stage, though, Mike, Dick, that you really have to say the Hawks have to believe in what they're doing. The pace game, will it have an effect on the Celtics coming down the stretch? Do we keep the screws applied to the Celtics? They can't give up.
And that's the 5th team foul against the Hawks, and the personal against Livingston. And Bird will go to the line and shoot 2 shots. Now, as you said, the 4th period could be an important period. The Celtics struggling from the line. However, the Hawks have to get within range. You don't want to spend the whole 4th period, if you're Atlanta, trying to make an uphill climb, which may not have enough time to make that climb.
You know, the emotion of this game might have provided just enough adrenaline to carry the Celtics through the 4th quarter.
Bird has 20 points, 11 assists, and 4 rebounds.
The Celtics have been on their toes and haven't gotten to their heels.
Willis inside is fouled. And Parrish picks up number 4. At the conclusion of the game, Tom and I will select the Miller Lite player of the game, and in conjunction with the award, Miller Lite will present a check in the amount of $1,000 to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society in that player's name. Well, the Hawks are missing from the line. That's 3 in a row as Bill Walton comes in. Parrish goes out with 10 points and 8 rebounds and 4 personals. And the Hawks are ice cold from the line. They can ill afford that, being down by so many.
And this is the part of the game, Dick, when the Celtics have gone to their bench, that they've started to see that lead slide away.
Right now, the only guy off the bench is Walton, and we'll see how KC plays it with under 3 minutes to play in the period. Walton, wild hook shot, and Battle comes down with it. Under 3 minutes to go. Battle goes coast to coast for the basket. John Battle, the 84th pick last year out of Rutgers, found himself a home on the bench of the Hawks.
He's a fast break player, and he can play 1 or 2 spot at the guard.
Celtics spreading out their offense with 2.5 to play in the third. All 5 Celtics starters in double figures. Parrish has the lowest amount with 10 on the bench now with 4 fouls. Into Willis. Jump hook by Willis, and Kevin now with 17 points. 41 points from the starting forward combo of Wilkins and Willis. And another Atlanta foul. Well, the playoffs are starting, although the way this game is being played, you're getting a real good preview this afternoon. And next Saturday, 3:30 Eastern time, it'll be the Denver Nuggets against the Los Angeles Lakers from the Forum in Inglewood. That'll be game 2 of the best-of-5 West first-round series, and the Lakers have to be considered the favorites going in because things have been pretty smooth for them. No injury problems, best record in the league, and it'll be the 2 outstanding guards, the triple-double people, Urban, Magic Johnson, and Fat Lever next week.
We did that game a couple of weeks ago between the Nuggets and the Lakers, and boy, that was a 440 track meet.
Makes both of them. He has 14 points this period. So the Celtic guards have really done it in the second and third periods of this game, and we have less than 2 minutes to play. 19-point lead for Boston. Battle with a jumper. 88-71, and again the Hawks trapping at midcourt. His rebound and tries to save it. They're going to jump him. Walton is going to jump against Cliff Livingston.
You know, his timing in those last 2 easy baskets, or easy shots really, is indicative of what his problem is going to be. He's got to get that sharpness back to his game in a week. Is it possible?
And everyone will find out. Antoine Carr is in for Wilkins, who has scored 6 of his 24 here in the third period. Celtics have won every tip, it seems, in this game. 17 on the shot clock. And a pushing foul.
Hawks getting very aggressive defensively right now, trying to take the Celtics out of the rhythm of their set offense. And the Celtics have got that championship poise. They're just holding right on.
3 fouls against Koncak, and Bird will go to the line and shoot. Bird will be the first player in NBA history to shoot over 50% from the field and over 90% from the free throw line in the same season. Calvin Murphy, who put on an exhibition with some baton twirling at halftime, was the closest to that. 90-71, and the lead is 19. Atlanta started off strong with a sizzling fast break. Celtics got the half-court game their way. Battle goes right by Johnson and is fouled by Walton.
What a strong drive, however, by John Battle. Walton was way up there, and Battle took a heck of a blow and still came down on his feet.
Tommy, what is this game?
Here's the strong move, and look at Walton right there to cut off the attack, and Battle said, if you didn't have red hair and if you weren't so big, I think I would have hit you.
What does this game mean so far, looking down the line? Is there a message to the Atlanta Hawks like, you may be getting big in town, but you're not as big as we are yet?
I'm sure the Atlanta Hawks know that it's very difficult to win a game at the Boston Garden. They're not going to be dismayed if they win one here today or if they lose one here today.
And if they meet again, it'll be a 4-7. Bird misses a three. Walton. And there's Battle. Quickly at Webb on the right side. Spud Webb reverses it in. Spud Webb, and did he fly down the sideline?
Fast break teams try to turn it up a notch coming down the end of the third into the fourth quarter to try and get back and create an explosion.
Loose ball out of bounds.
Faster than a speeding bullet. Look at that regular speed, and Spud is up and at the hoop right away.
That was not slow motion. That was regular speed. If that had been slow motion, he's going that fast, we'd have something. Danny Ainge with a three. 17 points in the third period for Danny Ainge, and the Celtics are up by a whopping 93-75 margin over the Hawks.
Challenge to the Celtics the last month of the season was to finish the game off in the fourth quarter.
Webb with 1 on the clock. Rebound, Livingston. And a foul on the play with 6 seconds remaining in the period. Larry Bird with 4 personal fouls. But it's a 93-75 game, and the Celtics way in front. Darren Day will give Bird a breather. And a hand for Larry. He's got 22.
He's been instrumental in making practically 60% of what happened for the Celtics really happen.
12 assists, so he has created a lot of other situations. Those are the players with 4 personal fouls.
When you play a fast-paced team, too, Dick, what happens is that you have to defend more possessions and more opportunities to pick up fouls. So the Celtics, even in the fourth quarter with 4, they're either going to have to maybe pick up a couple of extra or give up some easy shots.
Ainge off the mark on the 3, but the crowd will love this game. That's the end of the third period with the score. Celtics 93, Hawks 77. We'll return to Boston Garden after this word from your local station. With the background of the Charles River, we're inside Boston Garden as we start the fourth period, and the Boston Celtics with a big lead, and the Atlanta Hawks have won their last 3 after being behind, but they haven't been behind by this many. But the way the Hawks finished up that third period, they might not have sliced a lot of points off the lead, but the fact is they really showed no inclination to stop pushing the ball up.
And this is the period where you count on pace paying off for you, and they've got their accelerator in there now to pick it up even to a higher notch.
And the Celtics going to the bench to Darren Day and to Jerry Seasting. Bird is back in. He got a short breather. Bird has 22, so does Ainge to lead ball. Carr gets his own rebound. And the basket counts in a foul. That's what the Hawks are going to have to do to get back in this ball game, and there is plenty of time.
Antoine Carr, to me, is absolutely a guy that can put this team over the top. He is one smart basketball player in that low post, and they have not had a real consistent low post player.
It's 93-80. All but 2 of the points set by Walton have come from the Celtics guard. Seasting to Parrish. Blocked. Webb has it, and here comes Atlanta 3-on-2. Spud Webb going all the way in, feeding Livingston for the basket. And here comes the fast break. And now KC wants a timeout, and a smart and quick timeout there. It's 93-82, and just that quick, Atlanta has come back to cut it to 11. Tommy, if the Hawks have to play Indiana, which means they would lose this game, they were 3-3 against the Pacers in their season series.
You know, the Pacers are a team that is the first time in the playoffs, and it's funny what happens when a team is in the playoffs for the first time. It's not easy at all. They really get too emotional about it, either too high or too low if they win or lose.
Watch Washington and Detroit, they were 3-3, and when you got Moses Malone, you can be in things. Here's the trap. The Hawks are on an 11-3 run. They scored 5 points in 44 seconds of this period.
And this press is taking the Celtics out of their normal offense.
Seasting, open. It's a big one. That breaks a run. And it's 95-82, and the lead is up to 13 again. By the way, before the end of this broadcast, we'll focus in and be more specific on our playoff coverage for next Sunday. We know that Denver and LA is our Saturday attraction. Spud Webb hitting wide open from the foul line, and again, it's an 11-point game, and all of this within the first 2 minutes of the fourth period.
Now, with this little press defense, you try to get layups if possible off it, but just the Celtics coming right out of their rhythm. They can't go to the low post as much as they'd like to.
6 on the shot clock. Parrish is surrounded. McHale gets a great offensive rebound, knocked away by Antoine Carr, but into the hands of Dennis Johnson.
And when they do get the ball in a low post, it's usually with 5 seconds on the clock.
Bird, and they're going to call it on Carr.
Carr's putting a little young player muscle on Larry Bird at the Boston Garden. It just is not going to work. They're going to call it. Bird knows how to work the officials.
McHale has not scored yet in the second half. He was the Celtics' leading scorer with 18 in the first half.
Was there a shot which attempted to score?
Darryl Garrettson was just asking the score if a shot was attempted. 24-second clock was down to the end, so Bird will inbound. 95-84. Bird now picked up on a double. Parrish left open. Battle gets the rebound, and now the Hawks can bring it to within 9. And now just 2 minutes gone by in this fourth period. Battle penetrates, blocked by Parrish, and they're going to call the foul against Atlanta.
A real challenge to the Celtics right now is for Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish on tired legs is to get back on defense and stop the fast break of the Atlanta Hawks. That's quite a challenge, Dick.
Koncak with 4. But the Hawks are making the Celtics work to bring that ball up into the half court. 9.5 remaining. Bird going baseline against Carr. Behind his back to Parrish.
And when they're in trouble, Bird makes something happen.
Bird with 13 assists now. He's had a career best as a playmaker this year. Double on Battle. They get it low into Livingston. Koncak. Offensive rebound by Antoine Carr, who storms in for the hoop. 9 minutes to go, and it's 97-86. Best record in the Eastern Conference on the line. The home court advantage, which of course to Boston means so much, having lost just 1 game in each of the last 2 years on this parquet floor. 6 on the shot clock. Dennis Johnson has a shot blocked, but Bird is there to pick it up, and with 1 second to go, Bird scores.
A demoralizing basket for the Hawks. They really worked it down.
Battle drives one in, and John Battle with 10 points. Again, he scored over 14 against the Celtics in the 5 games thus far, and the Hawks lead the season series by 1. Seasting comes back and hits one. As Red Auerbach and Don Gaston are into the game like the fans are. Webb all the way in for 2.
And they're challenging him on the pass, and they forced him to his left hand, and he still has that leaping ability to go up over a 6'10" man.
101-90. 7:45 remaining. And a Hawks foul as Dennis Johnson zoomed one in to Bird.
Here's Larry Bird doing his number. Look at this. Starts in, draws the crowd, and knows that Parrish is going to be open and creates some kind of a pass to go in. Under the gun with the clock going off, you see 1 second, it had a an Easter prayer on it, and it went in.
24 points for Bird, who has a chance for a couple of more, as the Hawk foul was on Antoine Carr, his fourth. And he's perfect from the line. 7 for 7.
He has been the first of the Celtics players, Larry Bird, to emotionally focus on the playoffs. As all this was starting to be, they were starting to self-destruct, Larry Bird was getting his mad on.
Contact. Foul. No, they'll call the offensive foul against Contact. And for John, that will be his fifth. 5 fouls on Contact as Danny Ainge checks back in, replacing Dennis Johnson, who has scored 19 and has played a brilliant game today. So Seasting and Ainge, the backcourt. Parrish, McHale, and Bird. Contact blocks McHale out of bounds. They give it to Atlanta.
Excellent defense by John Koncak. He couldn't have done that 2 years ago.
Kevin Willis checks back in, and Tommy, this is the area which you go with the big front court depth here.
Right, and they're working at McHale over, and Koncak with that size really got his hand up there and played McHale perfectly.
So Koncak goes out with 5 fouls, and Kevin Willis, who's gotten a pretty good rest, is back in there. Inside to Carr. Rebound by Wilkins, and he'll shoot 2. 6:58 remaining, and the final round of the MCI Heritage Classic will follow. Parrish, Wilkins, and Livingston get very close for a close-up confrontation. We've had no serious outbreaks today. That foul is on Parrish, number 5 on Robert, and that will bring Walton back into the ball game when we come back to Boston Garden with a lot of time remaining. Tommy, whenever the Celtics feel cornered, they always have a us against the world attitude. We saw it in the finals against the Lakers a couple of years ago. We see how they're banding together on the court. Tell us more about the Celtic mystique and what happens.
The franchise has been in so many playoffs for so many years that they know that the intensity level of the playoffs is twice as intense as a normal game. So they really get themselves emotionally going high as they approach the playoffs. And the first one to do it was Larry Bird about 2 weeks ago. And Robert Parrish, we just saw getting into it right now.
What's their attitude to anyone on the outside?
Stay away from me. It's our time of year, and it's us against the world. And believe me, it works.
Who started that?
I think Red Auerbach did. It said, don't worry about all those guys that are hanging here slapping you on the back. It's when you lose, they're not going to be here. It's just you guys that are winning it, and you guys only.
So now it's an 11-point lead again. Atlanta has not been able to get it under 11, and the Celtics are trying to hang in with their starters, who have accounted for all their points but 6 in this ball game.
And Parrish not being in there right now is a big factor.
Walton having to play. No harm, no foul. Danny Ainge. And Walton gets the rebound for Willis, and his foul going up. Walton battling inside. He was the catalyst in last year's championship. And Willis now has 5 personal fouls.
You can tell Atlanta wants this ball game. There's a good move by Danny Ainge, but look at Walton just hanging there hard. It put Danny on the floor, and the next thing you know, bodies are banging.
So Walton, who's been sidelined practically all year,
and nobody wanted to play this season more than Bill Walton, let me tell you. And I would say this, he is forcing himself to get in the quickest possible shape that he can.
Of his 5 rebounds, 4 are off the offensive glass. He misses both free throws, 0 for 4 from the line. But Tommy, I see Kevin Willis out there, who's playing center right now, so the Hawks have a different kind of look.
They've got the speed unit in there, perhaps for more aggressive pressing, and also easier baskets on fast break opportunities should they get the ball on a steal or something.
Willis, or check that, Wilkins will go to the line, and McHale with his 3rd personal foul. Team fouls right now. The Hawks have 4 and the Celtics 3 with 6:19 remaining, and Dennis Johnson set to come back in, and Wilkins makes the first free throw. Here's Dennis Johnson replacing Seaston. Willis and Koncak have 5 for the Hawks. Parrish on the bench have 5. So Willis is playing with 5 fouls right now for Atlanta.
They can afford to lose Willis. The Celtics couldn't afford to lose Parrish.
And it's a 9-point game. The Hawks have cut it to 9. They were down by as many as 19, and on the steal, Dominique goes by Dennis Johnson, and now it's a 7-point game as Kevin Willis scores, and the Celtics look tired out there.
They have a 5-man fast break unit out there right now with Willis at center. He's going to beat Walton up the court if they can get the rebound or a steal.
A lot of time remaining, and Tommy, you said it. This will be a fourth-quarter game. Larry Bird, 2-point shot inside the line for Bird. And if there's any guy to stop a surge, it would be Larry, who has 28 points and has assisted on 13 others. Forays. 5.5. It's 105-96. Wilkins against McHale. McHale the rebound.
Great defensive play by McHale that time to force Dominique to his left and then just sit there on his shooting hand.
Next Hawk foul will put him in the penalty. Bird strong across the lane.
How many times has Bird answered the challenge?
He's doing it right now.
Kevin McHale uses his size to take away the speed of Dominique Wilkins. He backs way off. He doesn't let him go to his right. He forces him to his left, and he makes him bring the ball back to him, and that disturbs the rhythm of the shot. Beautiful defense by McHale. Now you're going to see Bird assert his personality on this team and on this game. Takes control, wants to take the clutch shot, sees an opening, goes to his left hand, sees that he's in the pack, and still gets that shot off. Beautiful.
Atlanta had cut the lead to 9, but Larry Bird has hit 2 field goals and now has 30 points. And in 14 in the last 19 games, Larry Bird has scored 30 or more points. And when people talk about Magic and Jordan and McHale for MVP, he's having one tremendous year in his own right.
The Celtics will have to keep the lead over 10 points till about the 3-minute mark to really feel secure about a win.
4:45, you see the clock, 107-96. Webb loses it and now is fouled as he goes in. Foul is on McHale, his 4th. Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn. Heated 4th period at Boston Garden. The Celtics had a 19-point lead, and the Hawks came back to cut it to 7. This is the final game of the regular year, the 82nd game, and it means so much because at stake is the home court advantage in the Eastern playoffs. Whoever wins this game will have the home court advantage should these teams meet. And the Hawks have really made up a lot of ground in the last couple of months to create this situation.
Well, they've got their unit together after those injuries. Everybody's back into the original role at the start of the season, and they're functioning with confidence.
Koncak with 5 fouls in there. Bird misses a 3. McHale and Koncak go after it. And they say it's Atlanta ball with 4.5 to play. 107-98, and Atlanta's not through yet. Battle and Webb in the backcourt. Wilkins, Carr, and Koncak up front. Koncak playing with 5 fouls, and so is Robert Parrish for the Celtics.
Reinserted into the lineup for rebounding more than anything else.
McHale now is on Wilkins.
Good matchup to go to his Carr on Bird. He can't handle low post players too well.
Webb, free, hits it, and it's a 7-point game. 107-100. Spud Webb, 14 off the bench. Battle, 10 off the bench. Carr has 9 off the bench for the Hawks.
You know, the Celtics, when they go to their low post game and the other team start doubling, the Celtics now have to go and hit some outside shots, and usually their legs are gone and they start to miss.
Dennis Johnson missed, but it's still Celtics ball and a new clock with 3:51 overall remaining. 107-100, and again, the Hawks best three-point shooter, Mike McGee, was ejected, and he's not around. Thrown out on a punching foul in the first period. Ainge with a fake on Webb. And it's 9 again, and Ainge is 24.
That may make the Hawks hesitate a little bit on their gambles, particularly off Danny Ainge.
They go in again to Carr against Bird. Battle. Penetrates. Wilkins tried to keep it alive, but the Celtics with a 9-point lead and the ball.
Parrish made that happen. He stepped right out on Spud Webb and took away his penetration.
The home team has won all 5 of the previous games in the season series. Atlanta leading 3 games to 2. Parrish. And all over his back is Carr. Did you mean it, Robert said? And Carr said, no, I didn't mean it. And Robert said, okay. Penalty. Hawks in the penalty, and Willis quickly gets the call from Mike Fratello, and Concat goes out. So Kevin Willis now in there.
Willis has come back in primarily for offense in that low post.
Celtics free throw shooting has been under par today, but Parrish makes a big one. The Celtics, who had their lead cut to 7, now enjoy an 11-point lead and under 3 minutes remaining.
In order to feel secure, the Celtics have to have at least 2 good defensive trips up the court.
Bird nearly a steal against Wilkins. Webb in a crowd. Willis hits the jump shot. Kevin Willis, who can beat you inside and outside, now has 21. And the lead is 9.
Here's that press again.
The winner has the home court advantage should they meet again in the playoffs. McHale and Parrish try to keep it alive. Foul with Atlanta. I tell you, we are seeing such tremendous extension and effort inside all day today.
Some good coaching by Mike Fratello. He's putting this defense on at just the right time to confuse the Celtics. They normally like to go to their low post game, get you to double, and then maybe hit the outside shot against you. And the Celtics are not able to do that. They have to improvise right now a little bit.
Foul was against Webb, and Parrish misses one. He has missed 4 of his 8.
He has been a stalwart on the defensive board for the Celtics all season long.
And a 20-second timeout called by Mike Fratello. The Hawks have come from behind in 4th periods in the last 3 games as part of their 9-game winning streak. And here's what the story is all about. The winner of this game will face the Chicago Bulls, the 8th-seeded team, in the first round of the playoffs, and will be placed in the same bracket as the 76ers and the Milwaukee Bucks. The loser will go against the Indiana Pacers, who will be placed in the same bracket as Washington and Detroit. And it'll all be best 3 out of 5 in the first round of the playoffs. And our coverage begins Saturday at 3:30 with a Western matchup between the Denver Nuggets and the LA Lakers. And on Sunday, we'll have a doubleheader for you beginning at 1 o'clock. And of course, we'll tell you what that doubleheader is before we leave the air. 2:20 remaining. 10-point lead for Boston. Timeouts. Each team has practically a full complement. Parrish the rebound.
Good move by Battle and almost a super rebound by Wilkins, but the Celtics end up with the ball.
Under 2 minutes to go. The crowd has been in it. The players have been in it. It's that kind of a game. Parrish lays it in and is fouled.
Here's the pick and roll of Robert Parrish. Here's the poise of Larry Bird, knowing when to go to Parrish with the pass, and Parrish not being frustrated with himself, going to get the ball back, and then made 2 good fakes to score the hoop.
Antoine Carr is fouled out of the ball game. 6 on Carr. He goes out with 9 points. But he has established himself as an outstanding low post player to be watched in the playoffs.
If he had probably trimmed his weight off in the early part of the season after that injury, that foot injury, burn he had, he might really be in peak form to be maybe a 30-minute player with this Hawks team.
12-point lead. And the Hawks sorely miss Mike McGee, their best three-point shooter. Steal, Dennis Johnson. That may be the straw that breaks the camel's back today. Of the Celtics starting five, when you consider that Kevin McHale has not scored a point in the second half of this game, shows you where else the Celtics can look for points and rebounds to maintain the kind of lead that they have. And right now, with a 14-point lead, game's pretty much in their pocket.
What they have really done today is reassert themselves as a unit. They have played near perfect basketball today. They withstood a physical challenge and an emotional challenge from the Hawks. Outstanding by the Celtics, and the Hawks played one whale of a game themselves.
Spud Webb gets the basket. Well, this game proves that the Celtics are the Eastern Conference's best in regular season. I think the Hawks have told the Celtics something, that they're going to be around and they're going to be a team they're going to have to worry about.
Well,
steal by Battle.
I think you're very, very right there, Dick.
Willis. McHale clears.
Atlanta Hawks have more to bring to a series potentially against the Boston Celtics than maybe anybody else in the Eastern Conference. A lot of big guys to throw at them that all have experience, wear them down physically.
Bird with a left-handed hook. Since the Celtics lost to the Lakers in Game 6 of the Finals 2 years ago, they have won 84 and lost 2 here at Boston Garden. And I'm counting this victory for the Celtics, who now have won 75 out of 76. And the basket is good by Livingston. Next Sunday, a doubleheader in Game 2 of the first round of the NBA playoffs, starting at 1 o'clock with the Chicago Bulls against the Celtics. Here in Boston, Game 2 will be Philadelphia against Milwaukee, and other regional action in our doubleheader. And remember last year when Michael Jordan lit it up here for 63 points.
I mean, we saw the Spud Webb, Dominique Wilkins show here today. Michael Jordan's Act 3, is it? Maybe he's the whole play.
Tommy, you and I will be here at Boston Garden for that one. 1 o'clock next Sunday. Michael Jordan and the Bulls against the Celtics. Bird. McHale, and the crowd on its feet now.
This was Larry Bird's personal stamp on this ball game.
That's exactly right. The Boston Celtics have beaten the Atlanta Hawks in the last game of the regular season and will have the very important home court advantage in the Eastern playoffs. We'll be back to the Garden after this.